Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of More Than Music. We got your mics here. I'm Mike,
I'm Mike.
two mics, and we're going to talk about the mics, which was the beginning seed that grew into the soul seed that you know and hopefully love today. So we're going to just kind of go through our how we met and what led to us meeting Benny and kind of how everything went from there. And yeah, stick around.
Welcome to the More Than Music podcast, hosted by us, Soul Seed. We'll be sharing tour stories, lyric breakdowns, and insights into our approach to music, the art, as well as the business. We'll also be interviewing some of the friends and family we've made throughout the years in the spirit of sharing their many marvelous trials and triumphs. So get comfortable and join us as we explore More Than Music.
Hey, welcome back.
Origin story.
Origin story. Yeah, I love origin stories. Honestly, that's like one of my favorite things when I'm nerding out and reading through the wikis on some sort of world. I always like learning the origin stories. So that's what we're gonna do here today.
It makes me feel like we're superheroes.
Yeah, we are superheroes.
And that makes me feel good.
We are.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. This is a musical journey that we've been on together for 10 years plus now. And I think it's only appropriate to go back to the beginnings and reminisce together.
We met when I was 17 and I turned 30 this year. So we have known each other for 13 years.
Yeah, and I'm 32. I was 19 when we met, and I didn't go to South any longer. I had graduated. I was going to community college.
Yep.
And so it was cool how my girlfriend at the time was a senior at South, and you two shared a class. Is that correct?
That is correct. I was a junior, and I was taking, I believe it was AP statistics.
Statistics, I do believe so.
Yeah, which was interesting. The teacher was basically a chapter ahead of us in the class the entire time. Because of Southern Oregon school funding at the time, they like emergency rushed this physics teacher into being a statistics teacher. So that was interesting. But yeah, Alex sat nearby me and we became friends. And I thought she was quite awesome. And so I was like, hey, have the CD of my music, trying to be impressive. And then she came back like the next day and was like, my boyfriend plays the drums and loved your music and wants to meet you. And I was simultaneously disappointed and very excited at the same time. And very quickly, mostly just excited because I had never been able to like play music with someone who played drums. It was like everyone that I knew played guitar or like played bass. And I played, drums was my first instrument, but not my primary instrument ever. So that was, it was a beautiful.
Yeah, no, I remember sitting in her Subaru in my driveway, and like we had been listening to a lot of Jack Johnson and Ben Harper, and she had gotten me into like some of those musicians that I didn't know prior. And then she was like, oh, like check out this CD, this demo CD this guy at school gave me, and it's really cool. And we listened to it, and like the songwriting, the lyricism, the production, and like all of it, I was very impressed. And I was like, let's hang out, let's jam. It was definitely, and no, it was cool. I came over to your house or your parents' house, I shall say.
Yeah.
And you had like a dude lounge in the back, like a warehouse man cave that was like super pimped out, like a bunch of fun stuff to do, big space. And we just pretty much jammed right away. I feel like, and everything was super synced up.
Yep. I remember, did you play Bush Doctor that first time we hung out?
Maybe. I mean, I had been playing some hand drum and writing stuff myself. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I came to you with like, oh, this is the stuff that I've been writing.
Yeah, I think we did like hey, let's show each other what we got. I'll show you yours, you show me mine.
Yeah,
I remember, hey, Bush Doctor, show me
what I need. Give me the herbs of that ganja weed. Yeah, dude.
That's beautiful.
Hey now, mama, can't you see how them feds do criticize me?
Yeah, we still haven't released that to the world. I think that we should.
No, it's definitely I mean, and in those days I was definitely all about like legalization of cannabis, and like that was kind of like a thing that I was thinking about. And then some of my writing, and that one was just like, like roots of music. It was just literally me on a hand drum, like playing this rhythm and singing. No, that's fun. I remember, I mean, some of our songs to this day, that maybe some of them we don't really play much, but I like remember sitting in my parents' backyard, like with a pen and a paper. Open Up Your Chakras comes to mind. I like remember writing that chorus, and then like it was always cool how we would come together with, you had a bunch of songs already and you were like a talented writer, and then like I was writing some stuff and like pieces, and just like I'm like an idea guy. Like I'm all right at like having like you'd play some chords and I'd be like, whoa, that sounds like this experience, and we would like write off of that. Or we've had a lot of different forms of songwriting throughout the years.
I definitely feel like those formative years where it was just like us, the mics, it was it's so different writing with just two people, right? And writing with two people outside of the context of any preconceived notions about like what you think your music is supposed to be, or like what, like trying to match up to any expectations set. Like, we were just making music. And I definitely feel like looking back at some of those songs, they're some of the more unique things I feel like we've ever done. Like some of the more like free form kind of.
I would definitely say that we started with no style of music in mind. Like we ended up in kind of a realm of reggae, and even to this day we have so many different influences. But early on we were just writing, and it was like no walls on what we were doing. There were no boundaries, so it was really fun to like explore all styles of music and all concepts. And I mean, like some of the songs like Wisdom of the Turtle, Fire Rain, that's only so many know, but it was definitely like our hit at the time. And it's kind of crazy. I guess that leads into the open mic that I feel like fueled a lot of our songwriting, because in those days, Jackson Creek Pizza, which was a pretty small place really in downtown Eugene, Medford, pardon me, down in Southern Oregon, Medford, there was this open mic, and there was like this pretty powerful music scene in Southern Oregon at that time. Andy Cassad, Alcyon Massive, Frankie Hernandez were some of like the main hosts. And Frankie Hernandez was one that like we became friends with very quickly. And he was like admiring our songwriting and our energy and like our hunger. I think we were pretty like hungry at that time to play. And we had sort of a natural confidence. I feel like we were never too shy about the stage. We were pretty down to just like get up and play and jam and sing in front of people. So this little pizzeria was just stacked with people every Thursday. And that was really encouraging us in those early years to be like, we need a new song for next week. It's like an episode out of like Tenacious D or Flight of the Conchords or something. It's like, we got to write a new song. Because we were playing the same stuff, but it was like, and we were playing some covers, and but man, that was fun. Like that was definitely something that really fueled and inspired us. And like we were witnessing some really talented musicians really close up and becoming friends with them. A lot of regulars at that open mic, like bands that would come back every week. And Jackson Creek Pizza was a huge part of like the people that we met, the networking we did early on. We were in the stages of like getting blank CDs and burning them with 5 songs and having like something to hand out, printing out some pages with like a logo that we had drawn up. And and then a friend, James Scholl, he did some really cool art for us early on. Once we decided to be like the mics, like MICS, kind of playing on the idea of like 2 mics. Djembe, it was all hand drum. It was all like hand drum and singing, and Mikey on acoustic and long hair and long, luxurious.
Long
we both had long hair. And you had the long hair then.
I think so.
I think I actually had short hair for most of that time.
I had like the Wyland hair all over. it was so funny, like doing that open mic. I was gonna say podcast, but it wasn't a podcast. It was an open mic.
Don't worry, I said Eugene when I meant. Okay, we're off to a great start.
Yeah, it's great. It was so funny doing that open mic with you, having done it by myself years earlier.
Forget about that.
Yeah. Is that? Did you know about the open mic, or did I bring?
I wasn't going there. Like I never did stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like I started doing a lot.
I never do stuff.
Yeah. I started doing a lot more stuff when we were like performing and cruising around, and no. So I never went downtown Medford. Like I didn't go downtown, and like So I think, and I remember now you saying that you would go down there and play some solo.
Yeah, and I would go down there like
you were young, right?
I was young. I was emo. I was shy.
Yeah, you had the hair over the eye. Did your mom take you at that time, or were you driving already?
No, I think I played there the first time when I was like 14, and I would go and I'd
been going on for that long.
Yeah, and I signed up. I would sign up like first. I think when did it start? It started at like 9 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, throw out a number. I don't remember, but I would go and sign up like an hour and a half before it even started, and I would sign up to play first, and then I would just sit there in the corner and like talk to nobody, and then just get up there and play my super emo ass songs, and then just like walk off the stage and leave. It was super.
Dude,
super great.
You're hungry at an early age. That's awesome, man. I didn't even realize that open mic could have been going for that long. And I mean, it takes a certain level of cojones to like want it that bad. Like I'm gonna go up there by myself. Like I want people to hear these songs.
Yeah.
Do you remember kind of like what drove that want early in your years of like you started writing songs and then you wanted to share them? Because that's a big deal. A lot of people are very like intimate and keep it to themselves and shy, and like you were already like, I want to be on a stage and playing for people. I've
always been very shameless, like when it comes to performing in front of people. I've always been like, well, not always, but the older I've gotten more shy, like in person, and I always have been kind of shy in person, but I've always loved like getting up on stage and doing like drama in school, or like when I make something, I like sharing it with people. I don't know why necessarily. I think it's like
awesome.
It's I think I can tend to feel awkward and uncomfortable around people and like normally, and the one time I don't feel awkward and uncomfortable around large groups of people is when I'm playing music or acting or something like that. So I think it's just cool. Like it feels good.
It's like you're taking charge of the experience or like that moment. Like
absolutely.
And I know your mom has a picture that she loves that's like you really young in like a play. I don't even know because it's like a close-up of you and you have like some face paint.
Was it the trial of the big band? Where do I have like a big pompadour? Like with
like it's super adorable. You've got like some face paint and you've got the mic and you were very young.
Yeah, so I think we moved to Southern Oregon when I was like 11, and I think that first year I went right into like drama in elementary school or whatever, and tried out for the play. And I can't remember if it was the first year or the second year that I was living in Southern Oregon, where it was Trial of the Big Bad Wolf, which was like a play on Three Little Pigs, was it the Three Little Pigs or was it Little Red Riding Hood? It was Little Red Riding Hood, that's what it was. And it was like wolf. Grease. It was like Grease mixed with Little Red Riding Hood in a way. And so I played like John Travolta Wolf. Kind of. But yeah, that was fun. But I remember like going to open mic with you was such a different experience because like, you're such an open-hearted guy, and you bring people in, and you're like you're good at people. You're a good people.
Well, and same as you, there is something about some people when they're on a stage, you feel very judged or like whatever it might be, like, or you get nervous. And I also feel like kind of in control in like a healthy way, not like, but it is like, I love, I love emceeing, like speaking on the mic.
Yeah.
Like I could see myself doing that. Like as long as I've got something to talk about or something to say, then I'm down.
Yeah.
And hyping people up and just really it's like facilitating a good time, right? Like that place had a really good energy for people having like a good time, happy, dancing, vibing. And I feel comfortable in that and encouraging people. And then so it was like you had the musical skill and I had like the like downness to just like hype people up and like
the vibes.
Yeah, the vibes and like the
and
hand
the
drum.
skill,
yeah, I mean, just different.
Yeah,
I definitely don't feel like as much, especially at that time. Like I was blossoming, I was learning a lot, which I still am and always will be, and I believe that we all are, and that's like kind of what makes us fresh and excited to do what we do. But yeah, it was fun to join you and learn a lot about. I mean, I didn't do drama or extracurricular at all.
Yeah.
I like didn't do a lot of stage stuff. So I just kind of dived into it with you and we just got addicted to it. Like every week we were going and there were different phases. I mean, there were periods of time. I remember that's one of my first learning experiences of like drinking before you perform. And I had a buddy who was like a bigger cat, and as far as like he could hold his liquor more than I could. Like he was like I was trying to keep up with him, and
I mean he's like super tall and like twice the body mass of me.
Yeah, and I think he even had just more experience drinking, and so like. Yeah. When we got dropped off, I remember it was Jägermeister, and I was not going inside, and I remember being like, "Oh yeah, this is." You could tell it from your
because I showed up early. I had signed up, and you were hanging out, and so I was like just waiting for you to come down there, and I think like it was running late, and I was like, okay, like what's going on, and then I think it was like close to when we were going to get on, like maybe 1 or 2 when we were going to get on. And I think Dylan Crandall came in and was like, you got to come out and talk to Magic. Like he needs to talk to you. And I'm like, what's going on? And I come out and you were like in the parking garage, like just laying down, like, Mikey, come closer. I got to talk to you, Mikey. Listen, I drank too much and I can't do it tonight.
Yeah, play it, Mikey.
Yeah. And that was the only time that's happened. I think there's been other times on tour where it's come close, but I think you learned.
Well, yeah, I've never not played since that time. Because also like I definitely like liquor. That was my learning years too of even drinking. So it was like you just don't take a bunch of shots and then go on stage. Like I mean, I knew like I was so sloppy that night, and so it's like we've had moments where it's like open keg, and before you play, you have like a little too much beer, and then you're like playing and. Afterwards, everybody's like, that was a little sloppy, but I've never missed a gig. And thank goodness to learn that in the years of an open mic and not in like professional touring. But
perfect time for experimentation.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, I'm glad that it's not like that now. And learn it early or try to just know better to begin with.
I think that's definitely one of the hardest things about one of the more challenging things to keep in check as a musician is drinking, because it's like not only do you get free drinks like almost everywhere you play, you're going to probably get at least 2 free drinks and maybe more depending on where, but you're just waiting all the time. You're either sitting in a bus waiting or you're sitting at a venue waiting. Like that's 90%, no, not quite, but it's a lot of what being on tour is just waiting for something to happen and waiting for something to happen while you probably have access to free alcohol. And so it's like not being either entirely sober or entirely addicted to alcohol is hard.
Again, like you said, it's like when like a part of your payment, like the perks of your job are like, here's your free drinks. You know, it's like, and then just hanging out in a bar for hours. Killing time. So well said. But that was good lessons early on. I'm thankful that we surpassed those. But Jackson Creek, man, it's crazy to think how we've gone on to like watch the musicians who started that do so many projects and different bands and go on to have like careers and families and it was definitely a really good networking scene really early on. And that is where we met Benny Pisano as well.
Yep.
Yeah. And he was also kind of doing a solo thing. He would play sometimes with some buddies, but he had songs and he had a lot of charisma, and his songs were good. And we were like, who's this guy?
Yeah. I remember we would all, when we actually met each other and we're talking about it, we both thought, or, we all thought that we were significantly older than we actually were. Like we thought Benny was in his like late 20s or something. And he was, say like same age as us. And he thought the same thing. That was really funny how we just kind of like had this reverence for each other of like, wow, your music's so good. You must be like some older musician that's like way cooler than I.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, another part of that is that he like went to North High School, so like we had completely different circles. Like I didn't meet him until the open mic, but it was like me and him are the same age. Yeah. So it is crazy how, that can happen. And you like look up to someone because of their performance or their songwriting, but it's like, experience and age and time is strange like that, where it's all kind of relative.
Yeah, you get these ideas about somebody for one reason or another that is not accurate, but just based on your whatever interpretation of things.
No, and then we kind of kept an eye just like on each other in a way. I remember like we were playing some shows, like Frankie helped us get some shows early on, and then we kind of through like social media and stuff, like saw that Benny was in a band and he was like learning bass. And I think I even just remember we were like, oh, like he plays bass. And then that band split up.
Yeah.
And I remember that we were like, let's get him.
Yeah, no, there was Benny and I had a mutual friend, like before Benny and I even knew each other really. And I ran into her randomly at this old falafel shop in Ashland. And I don't even remember how we got talking about it, but she mentioned, like, hey, that guy, Benny, well, his band, broke up and he's like looking for something to do. And, it was like, bummer about the band, but I'm going to call him right now. And I think I called him like that day. I think I got his number from her and called him like pretty much after I left that falafel shop or whatever. And then, and then we like scheduled our first hangout, and once again was in the warehouse, and once again we shared and wrote, in fact, a song about legalizing weed. So
we wrote a song about law enforcement that exact first night of hanging out. And I think that with him it was like an even different introduction because we had kind of seen each other and knew each other. Like when you and I met, it was literally like a first meeting.
Yeah,
and it was like this like we were like testing the water with each other and seeing
like
what things were like.
Date.
Yeah, exactly. We were set up by someone else. And then with Benny, it was like we knew his songs and like we liked each other's songs. And did he come to us with his verse for Fire Rain? Didn't he like write that before he even?
Yes, I think so. I think
because he told me he was like super caffeinated at his job at the Ashland Food Co-op, and he just like
wrote it in the fridge or something.
like I had said, that song was kind of our hit, and like at Jackson Creek, it had become kind of like one that everybody was singing along with and liked and wanted to hear, and like we had handed out that EP, and so people like knew it. And so Benny already like knew the chorus and liked the song, and I think he was like the kombucha cooler worker, and like in between stocking kombuchas he was just like writing out this verse, and it was awesome. And so when we met each other as a three-piece, it was like we immediately were writing. We like already, all the ice had been broken, and we were just like, okay, like this is on, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it was incredible how quickly it clicked, like for you and I, and for him joining us too, like that. And I think that's been a theme, as Soul Seed has grown, is that we're normally able to tell pretty quickly, like, oh, okay, this is fun, or like, oh yeah, this is what's, like just, like it just works. And that's been pretty pretty amazing to be able to like meet somebody and write a song on the very first day and feel like it all makes
And
sense.
like personality stuff, like with Soulseed, it being like a whole family thing, it's like it matters so much that you vibe with the people that you're working with. And we've had it in all different directions. We've had people where we're like, yeah, this works. And when we've had people where like, this is like, it just makes sense. Like it's like best friends, family right off the bat, and you just like want to hang out all the time, and then music just happens, and yeah, with Benny it was definitely like that. And then same with Kenny, because it was like you and him went back farther than you and I.
I've known him since freshman year of high school, so.
Wow. Yeah. And like, and that whole story, that's maybe a story for another episode, but that was like the way that it worked out, meeting him and his parents, and like how all of our parents have been a really critical like influencer in our success as far as like supporting us and being like down for helping us and giving us opportunities and stuff. It's really all I'm trying to say is how it all just worked so naturally and just kind of happened without any forcing. So it wasn't like we were trying to make this band and like striving to create something and like putting the pieces together. It was just like we were living our lives and all were inspired by music, and the pieces just like fell into place, and we felt like everything was super serendipitous.
Yeah, exactly. I've been holding that word in my head for like 15. Yeah, exactly. Everything was very much like that. Like,
well, even that's serendipitous.
Like with Benny, we didn't mention like how for a long time people were saying, hey, you guys are great, this is fun, like acoustic guitar and djembe, I love it, get a bass, you need a bass player. And we were, I think, nervous about bringing somebody else in, and also like didn't know a lot of bass players. And then we had kind of been admiring Benny's skills and stuff like that, and then finding out, oh, he plays bass, and then not long after that finding out, oh, he's free now to play bass in another project. Like it wasn't how all those things just kind of like fell into place. I think
he wouldn't have even played bass if that band wasn't like, hey, we need a bass player. So it was like he was encouraged by them to learn, and then it just like, which I mean, it's an easy transition kind of from guitar to bass, but he really took it on and became a bass player in a lot of ways. And it's cool to see him now, like kind of going back to acoustic and back to some of his roots and playing guitar more. But he really took it seriously and became a hell of a bass player. And it's wild. It's a wild ride.
No, and that is an interesting thing. Like, I think on a level, it's easy to play bass if you know guitar, but I think it's easy to play bass like a guitarist. It's harder to play bass like a bassist. And I agree. Benny, like, he dug into it, and he committed himself fully to bass for a long time, like barely even touched a guitar.
And then, like, not to mention in reggae music, where like bass is a lot of times like the leader in the rhythm and like kind of really syncopated in pocket. And like people always are like, wow, like how do you play drums and rap? But it's also like, dude, playing bass and singing or rapping is crazy. It's like the syncopation and the timing to play bass and like off notes and stuff, and then also be singing and rapping. It's pretty crazy. So props to Benny on like figuring all that out. He's a grinder.
I definitely think singing and playing bass like is, at least in my experience, that's the hardest, because it's like you are doing a different rhythm, right? Like if you're singing da ba da da da, and bass you might going boom ba da 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 dum, and so it's like you got this total different syncopation from what your fingers are doing versus what your voice is doing, and then also a different like tones, right? It's like I don't know, it's a lot. it's so
and it's also something to say that like Benny's like a tenor, like Benny's like a higher singer, and like when you're playing guitar or something more melodic, you pick up on those notes and can hit them, and like to be playing like bass, like low end, and then singing, it's kind of a trip. Like he's hitting the lows and the highs. It's cool.
Pretty much. And it's so crazy, like that open mic was so special too, where like we've traveling throughout the country, we've stopped at a lot of open mics, and every open mic is awesome. Like it's such a cool opportunity to give people a chance to start out in a super safe environment, and also to give, people who are talented but aren't, used to playing shows or booking shows or whatever, an opportunity to be discovered. But it was just insane how many talented people were at Jackson Creek open mic, and how many of those people went on to become like, very successful in the region and beyond. And like was definitely an amazing little pocket that we found there.
Yeah, and it's rare. I feel like that open mic draws a crowd. Like that place was always stacked with people, and they were there to just watch and like listen. And there were literally songs that were like the hits of the open mic that everybody wanted to hear. And yeah, it definitely was a unique open mic. And I think that it really encouraged me to encourage other new musicians. Like, it's so important to just do it for the love of it and like not be put down by people. Like, to this day, I hate it when in an audience you can like watch people like teasing an artist or like making fun of them or, mocking them. And it's like that, why? Like, what's the point? Like, they're expressing themselves, they're having fun, they're trying to share art with you. And even if they have a long ways to grow, this is like a beautiful catalyst to them taking that leap of like wanting to do it, getting comfortable with the stage. Like, I love seeing someone who's shy and like has a hard time getting on stage, like, but wants to share a song so badly that they'll like overcome that. Yeah. So I've always thought that open mics are an incredibly special place and experience for any artist. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the perfect in between of practice and a show, right? It's like this place where you can go to test things out and to, get a feel for like what it's like to play in front of people, and hey, how is this song going to work and all that stuff. And yeah, it's good to keep those environments as open and as non-judgmental as possible, because that's how you get super amazing artists, is they have a chance to kind of really try everything out and then, refine it before they go on to bigger stages and stuff like that.
Yeah. You can't just go straight to a big stage. Like, you have to step up the stepping stones. So I encourage any artists who are listening who want to start some expression and like want to see how their songs are reacted to, that go find an open mic that's local. And to all the musicians who have free time and don't know what to do with it, like, find a venue, find somebody who's willing to have an acoustic open mic and start one up. I think it's really important to keep that craft alive. And it is, again, hard to like be there for something like that every single week.
Yeah, it's a big commitment.
Especially like once you start playing more shows. And even with that, like, back to Frankie Hernandez, who was one of the main hosts, like, he taught us so much early on about how to even book a show, or like how to set up a sound system and play a show in a small little bar. And like, it's really cool, I think, even making those cold calls to venues and seeing, who wants to host an open mic. Like, he kind of taught us a little bit about that too, like how you just go about just putting it out there and seeing what comes back. And so yeah, props to Frankie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Where do we even go back with this?
I think this was a nice little insight to the beginning. I think we can we'll just leave it off saying that once we met Benny, we very quickly actually moved into a house together. Like, I think within like a month of him, joining the band, and probably 2 or 3 months of meeting him properly, we all moved out of our parents' houses and into, well, he was already living out of his parents' house, but yeah, we all moved into a house together. And stay tuned, because we'll talk about those shenanigans on an upcoming episode.
Yeah,
many shenanigans there were, to be sure.
Perfect. That is good for the sequel, because I think it was like he needed to move and we were still living at our parents, and like it kicked us in the ass too, and we were just like super excited to do it, and we did it. And that's, again, like how everything went for us. So yeah, stay tuned for that story, and thank you for tuning in today, and whichever day it is that you are enjoying this podcast.
Thanks for tuning into the More Than Music podcast. We appreciate it if you'd leave us an honest rating and review wherever you're listening to the podcast. And please also subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all social media platforms at Soulseed Music. That's at SOLSEED Music. For those that leave a 5-star rating and review, be sure to listen for your comments to be read on a future episode. Stay tuned for our next episode, and feel free to share this podcast with a friend or a family member, and let's expand the branches of our family tree. We appreciate you vibing with us today, and we'll catch you next time on More Than Music.